Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Serling. Fresh off a big day yesterday, a fun day yesterday.
Fresh? I don't know if I'd use
I don't know,
that.
fresh. I'm not that fresh either.
Yeah, no, but it was a fun day.
It was.
Yeah, it was a
was.
lot of racing, and yeah, I think the Wood definitely delivered.
Yeah, no, it was a very good race. I tell you what, and taking nothing away from the winner, Rodriguez, I thought Grandy ran really well.
Yeah,
there.
he's the one I
was
want.
really impressed.
He's the
with
one
him
I want out of
yesterday.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean,
But it's interesting too, both those horses not having any points prior to yesterday, and now they both do. Now it looks as though they might get in.
Well,
or should get in.
Rodriguez has a similar look to Medina Spirit, where they were rating him for other horses. Medina Spirit, Acacia finally figured it out. It was Life is Good was the horse they were rating him behind. It was Life is Good. Well, we think of Life is Good as a Todd horse
Todd
because,
horse.
but it was Bob. You forget that Baffert had him
Totally
earlier
forgot
in his
about
career, and he
that.
got hurt.
Oh yeah,
And
because they couldn't rate that horse.
And now
they
I think-
couldn't. Like,
right.
remember he was a flat out runoff.
So is
You kept saying Charleston. I was like, no, that was 2020.
Yeah, I just couldn't
And
remember who it
remember.
was.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Rodriguez is the best of Bob's horses. We were not surprised that Citizen Bull got completely exposed. We're not allowed to waltz along in the front
And
end.
Barnes needs to turn back.
I don't know what they're doing with. I don't know what the heck he was doing in the race. To be honest, they didn't even ride him like they thought he had a chance. It was
They hadn't been
bizarre.
working him like they thought he had. a
Yeah,
chance.
it's bizarre. I
Yeah.
mean, I hope this hasn't sort of screwed him up because he could be a pretty good sprinter. Anyway, we have 10 to talk about, so we have a couple little time at the end. Maybe we'll babble on about the races yesterday. Head over to Naira Bets. You know the drill. Match 200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have a $15 bonus. You bet 50 or more at Aqueduct, Keeneland, and Oakland. Keeneland is having their opening day today. It looks absolutely miserable and rainy there. They've had a
It's
rough
not been
rough
nice.
start. Of course, they're running, as you probably know, Monday and Tuesday. Actually, they're going to be running 8 straight days at Keeneland. You know that when I first went to Keeneland in '94,
You said it was 6 days a week, right?
it was 5. No, it was
5.
5. It was the first
Okay.
track I ever went to with 5 days. I was coming from Florida where they're running
There's
6 days or
6
more
and
a week.
6
Here,
here.
6.
Yeah.
I mean, I was younger and I mean, it was so ridiculous. We used to go to Meadowlands on the dark
Yeah.
day to go to the thoroughbreds in the fall. But I remember going to Lexington thinking, what am I going to do with 2 days off?
think there's-
well,
yeah.
at the close of the meet at Gulfstream, which was a few weeks earlier, because that was when they had a real championship meet, and they ran to the middle of March. They ran 15 straight days, and then they started Hialeah the next day, and I think they ran 14 straight days.
Wow.
Because they had a couple cancellations at Gulfstream
Right.
earlier. They had that sinkhole issue. Anyway, we have that bonus. We have a cross country Big Five. Eddie loves the cross country Big Five. By the way, I noticed a little lack of enthusiasm by you today, Eddie. What happened? You didn't sleep well, or what's
He's
going on?
quiet.
You were out last night? Big night?
Eddie is like
Big
the
night hitting
biggest
clubs?
partier.
Hitting the clubs?
Like, he never invites us though.
No, well, he's young and fun. We're old and not fun.
Speak for
You have
yourself.
kids, and you're not that fun. Don't kid yourself.
try.
Maggie used to be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now, I was fun a long time ago, probably before Maggie was born, actually. Anyway, that's Cross Country Big Five, and those races will be shown America's Day at the Races. It's from 1 until, I don't know, 9 or 10 tonight, whenever Oakland decides to run their last race. We'll be here.
I'll be in bed.
Yeah, she'll be in bed, and
Having
I'll
so
still be
much
on the desk
fun.
with Greg. Anyway, race number 1. I don't even know why I'm showing Majestic Frontier, but let's start with Boss Making Boss Moves. I will show Majestic Frontier because I wanted to show some replay. I don't know. He's okay. I don't really trust him at 1 1/8. He has won at the distance, but I don't know. He also just doesn't win.
I mean, I thought he was maybe a little against the flow of the track. Look, the winner was Bet in High Tide. He got to save all the ground and scoot up the rail, where Majestic Frontier was kind of more forwardly placed and then had to swing out, though he did spend the
I thought it was a
first
fair
part,
track that day, wasn't it?
Totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just thought, look, he was second best on the day and maybe lost a little bit more ground than the winner.
Who did come back and run okay in a subsequent start,
Right.
by the way, at 6 furlongs.
I am with you for the sentiment that I just felt like Boss Making Boss Moves is better at 9 furlongs than him.
Well, I mean, Boss Making Boss
He's a
Moves
stakes
is
winner
one of the
at 9 furlongs.
great moments of the entire 2024 when he ran for Tom up in Saratoga. And Rajiv told me, Rajiv
oh,
said,
that's the Drake
this is
race.
the horse that Rajiv said he had
Yes.
absolutely no chance whatsoever. He had handicapped the race in about 8 seconds looking at it on the set, and he said he had absolutely no chance and he would buy drinks if
For
the
all
horse
of
didn't
us.
run 1-2, which I turned into the entire racetrack. as I recall, you and Tom
Oh,
had
we
drinks with him at
capitalized
this-
on
at the-
that. It
yes,
was
at
sa- it was sale
the
week.
sales, the
Yeah.
sales. Raj is a man of his word,
He is.
and it was just so great when he won.
It was so because he looked beat, and he
Well,
Flavien
the
like
win-
got after him, and he came back.
The winner, the second horse should have won, but he still was going to run 1-2, so Raj was going to lose
Oh
his
yeah,
bet
you
anyway.
did say first or second, this horse will be up the truck, man.
He's a mile and an eighth horse, and he's dropping down. I guess my biggest concern here is Coffrey. I don't love his recent
scares
form,
me.
but isn't he going to
I
be
mean, look,
loose
we have
in
the
here?
same exact picks
Yeah.
in here because yes, and he only wins when he has the lead. He's only attempted this distance one other
He
time.
didn't run that badly.
Exactly. And I
He
know
may have
it's
been a better horse then, though.
Right. His form has not been particularly good, especially in his last two. But I think getting to the lead definitely emboldens this horse, and
I agree.
they're going to try to take him all the way.
I agree. Race number 2, I was going to pick Luminique. He
I did
scratched.
not like her
What-
at
What
all.
is the Rick Dutrow scratching on wet tracks thing? He's never had a horse that could run a wet track?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Is it like
because
a voodoo thing or
her
something?
best races are on a wet track.
I have absolutely no idea why he
and
he
it's not
scratches every
like
horse on a wet track.
something happened after she ran on a wet track because she ran back 2 weeks later.
I agree.
I don't get it.
Eddie Barker's barn's been a little cold, but it's between her and She's Wicked Smart, who look like the speed. And I preferred Kay Jeanette, but I'll be
too.
honest with you, I don't have a particularly
So-
strong opinion here.
I
They're the
don't
favorites.
particularly like She's Wicked Smart, but they're the
I know.
only
That's
two
the thing.
horses.
And She's Wicked Smart's form has been absolutely horrific lately. she
And-
did run better in a wet track two back, though.
And two, the only other time she's run for 20, she was beaten a nose. So I'll give her that, and it was her best performance to date.
Not
But
good enough,
she
I
is
better.
not trustworthy whatsoever because I feel like she's been in spots where she should run better, and she just doesn't. At least you know with Kay Jeanette, you kind of know what you're going to get. It feels like she tries, and I don't exactly know what was happening last time where she didn't, find herself more forwardly placed other than
Gee, it's unusual for that
other
rider.
than well, now she gets Katie. I will say that the horse next to her dropped the ride. I don't know if she kind of reacted a little bit to that. Didn't look that way, but I feel like Katie just needs to go with her.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm with you. 3-5 for me, too.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I just searched far and wide and couldn't make a case for anyone else. I think race number 3, we'll take a look at Vinsanity, who we both have on top in here. And this is 3 races back when second, Augustine Red, obviously, has come out of the race.
I liked Augustine Red. I
did
don't
you
know
really?
about you. I did.
Drew towards the inside, which was going to help
Yeah.
his chances. I just look at Vinsanity as a horse that I thought ran well in here. He was in that weird race on January 19th in the first race, and the race kind of fell apart. And I still think he ran fast enough to win here. And then last time out, I thought he was compromised a little bit. They were just better horses in these,
Yes.
and I thought he made perfect sense in here.
Yeah, and two, he was held up at the back of the pack, and he seemed to be like resenting the hold, too. And I just thought drawn outside, hopefully he just gets a little bit more of a comfortable trip this time around. And like you said, I think he's dropping back into a spot where we've seen him be pretty competitive. And, the other horses in here, some of them, and I just felt like he could be a little bit more forwardly placed as opposed to some of the other players in here.
I don't know. I think Paxational's going to go, and I know we picked
Yeah.
Eddie Barker in the prior race, but I just feel like Paxational's form is
He's
kind
like
of falling
Cinderella,
apart.
right? He
Yeah.
had 2 good races, and then it's just
And we talk about it. Eddie's like a lot of trainers can be very streaky. He had a run when he just was
And that was the
unbeatable for a
run.
period of time. And, it's hard to keep him in that kind of form.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Golden Candy was okay in here, switching to Jamie Ness. Not that I like seeing horse go away from my man Horacio de Paz, but it's got some faster figs. Narciso Dali, last time out, I actually thought ran pretty well, was against the racetrack last time. I just think this is a much tougher field.
I also think he's better with more ground as well.
Okay.
I think he's a horse that kind of needs to not be rushed off his feet so much, and appreciates a mile as opposed to the 6.5.
All right. What about Royal Tryst?
He's such a deep closer.
Such a plotter.
I know, and I suppose it's promising that off a near year layoff, he's come back and he's run, competitively. He's run basically the same numbers that he was prior
Yeah.
to the layoff. And two, he was a horse that had been running so often
Right.
in those years past. So maybe a break is actually going to benefit him. They've protected him twice. He did make up some ground late over in a race where nobody else really changed.
It was a weird
position.
track. I know the track was fair, but
Nobody in that race.
there were
changed
individual
position.
races
Yeah.
that looked like a bias. Like it was
right.
sort of a
no,
weird
that's,
day.
That happens. Commerce Comment made a lot of sense too, being on the front end and winning there. But we'll see. Royal Tryst. I'm hoping the wet track is a little
I have
bit
a
of
bone to pick with Jay Provenzano from Flying P. There was the article about Aqueduct the other day in Newsday, and he was talking about his dad. They didn't like coming to Aqueduct. Jay is dressed every day of his life like he should be at Aqueduct 365 days a year. And he was saying semi-disparaging things about going, Jay, you were born to be at the Big A with us. Don't give me any lies. Right? It was just sort of
I
funny
know.
reading it. I say it in jest because I like Jay a lot. So.
I know. He is running horses more so out of town than
Yeah.
here.
Well, he's getting ready for another run at Saratoga. Race number 4, the Biagio's Rose. I like Biagio's Rose. Bobby Robato? Biagio's Road, I want to say. And we'll take a look at Sterling Silver in the Bay Ridge, where I thought she ran extremely well. I mean, this was the strongest, one of those super strong gold rails. The winner was able to walk on the front end. She was wide the whole way, and she just never stopped running. And Maggie, I think she likes a wet track, and I just think she's better than these horses.
I do too. I tried to look elsewhere against her, and I just couldn't see it with anybody else. I got some love for my girl Sweet Brown Sugar, but I just think on the day Sterling Silver's a better horse, and a better horse at the mile as well.
I agree. Now, can Bernie take charge, wire the field? We'll take a look at her last race. I just feel as though she took advantage of a bias last time. And while I think she's gotten in good form and she is the speed, I don't think she's a 97 buyer horse, and she's going to need to be pretty fast to beat Sterling Silver if that one runs her race.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with her because that last race, huge effort, but with the racetrack, and it feels like a total outlier to the rest of her form.
Well, because the track was very much in her
Helping
favor,
her.
and these are good examples of biases carrying horses along, and I thought that was a situation there where it just made her look better than she is. And listen, she has improved her form recently, but this is a tough field that she's in because even horses like Caldwell Loves Gold, I mean, I've got a little more love than you do for her, but I thought she's been compromised by racetrack. Speed and the inside were good last time, and while she saved ground, she was badly outrun. I think she didn't run that bad. The Interborough maybe a little too close. She's run well in wet tracks. I'm not ready to give up on her yet.
Remember, she was supposed to run on the 22nd.
Was
She was
scratched.
a late scratch because the pony kicked her.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so
Wow.
totally nothing
Okay.
to do with her necessarily.
And I do love Cali Magic. I just don't think she's good enough here.
Yeah. But that's why I was a little bit hesitant, with Bernie Takes Charge. I didn't know that possibly you see Sweet Brown Sugar and Cali Magic. I don't think they're naturally fast enough, but just make her go a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe. Bernie's pretty quick.
She is. I'm not saying she's not the fastest. I just thought she would feel a little bit more pressure.
Sweet Brown Sugar, you've got second here. My problem is that overall she's got one better figure, and she just looks a little slow to me.
She does look a little slow, but she finds the line.
Are
8 for 13.
Are we watching Laurel for a reason? Is there a horse we want to watch?
Tom has one in the second race.
Oh,
so
well,
I
we
was
won't be
just-
here for it.
Yeah, I know.
But you can find out who they like.
Yeah.
All right.
exactly.
That's the fourth and the stake. And now we're going to move on to the part of the race where Maggie and I actually disagree in a couple of races. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty
Little
good.
juicier.
Race number 5. I am not proud of my pick in race number 5. I didn't really want to pick this race when I ended up taking last Sunday off, but I picked Tekka. And when Tekka runs nowhere, I'm not going to blame you if you want to throw a tomato at me, but I don't know. And Maggie's got the same opinion as me because she's like, I don't even want Tekka, so I'm just going to cop out and take a shot with a first-time starter. I doubt you've been watching Kyle's mom breeze a lot.
No, it's just for the fact that Jeremiah, and I looked at the sacks, and they're not as good as I'd hoped they were. First-time starters on the dirt and maiden claimers. He's 3 for 16. It's nothing, revolutionary.
Do you look at Naira, though, when you look at those? See, I look with
There
Jeremiah, I
were-
always separate
I
him
did.
from
I didn't-
Naira to Finger Lakes.
I didn't plug in just Naira because there was only 2 Finger Lakes races in
Oh,
there.
okay.
And 2, there's a sibling that won first and their second starts.
One of the foals was pretty good, actually, relative to the. One of the foals would have beaten this field by 20 lengths, ran 70 buyers.
Yeah.
And the other horse ran a number in the 70s, ran 50s, but frankly, a 50s would win this race. So I agree. This horse has a little pedigree.
Yeah, there was enough for me, and
this
just
race?
because Jeremiah is pretty capable with first-time starters, didn't like anybody else. I don't trust Tekka, although I will say
How can you?
my man Anthony Garino and Red Storm Stable, they've been on some tear, especially with Linda. But this horse has just never gotten back to its first start, and I don't think it was that good, actually. It feels like an inflated number.
I really want to yell at Linda. Why did she think you wanted to rate Sand Devil? Why are you getting away
He
from
was
Linda?
acting a little weird, too.
I know,
in
but she like wanted
retrospect.
to rate anyway, and it's like Linda, he's got speed.
Did she tell you that?
Well, I mean, Sarah said something about her saying that she didn't want to.
No, because when I interviewed her, it made her sound like, well, we're not going to let that happen again, like when he stumbled last time and she had to rush up. Maybe I interpreted it differently, that they wanted to go and be forward.
He's a very, very good horse. Maybe he's not really a router.
He just seemed really quiet yesterday, too.
Wait for the Mike Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to reality.
No, listen.
I mean,
but-
it's a
but,
shame. I know
you
she wanted to get there for Chester, but Roman.
I wouldn't give up on him being good enough to compete at a higher level. I still think he's a very good horse.
Yeah.
He probably just needs to be in a race where, and listen, I'm not saying New York Bred that Mike Lee's going to be an easy race, but theoretically. And I have a question. When is the horse, the colloquial?
He's
Colloquial?
meant to run Monday, right?
He was supposed to be in Friday, right?
Lafayette?
Lafayette was Friday, so he's going to be in tomorrow?
Right.
It's interesting looking at that race because I was looking at it when Tom's horse came back
Yeah,
and ran the
because
same
there's another
92.
one.
There's only one horse that didn't run back to the figure, and he may have had an excuse. Everybody else has run better numbers coming out of that race.
Yeah.
He might be as good a sprinter as there is in the country. I mean,
I
he's,
think they're going to struggle keeping him sound.
yeah, well, obviously, a horse debuts early and they just come back
Yeah.
for 8
And then
months.
his
now
work
he's running.
tab's been fairly
Yeah.
spotty.
I hope he can because
Yeah.
he is really good. All right, we're done with the first 5. We'll be back with the late pick 5 after a quick break.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Did you miss us? We missed you. We're back. Maggie, Andy, race number 6. Another 1.125 mile race. Is Endowed just better than these horses?
That's what I thought, Andy.
I do too, but I'm taking a shot against, but she
So-
might just be way too good for these.
Right. And form has eluded him for a bit, but I
Tim,
just
that's
thought that last time he hinted at the fact that he could round back into his good form.
No, he ran fine. I don't know why 6 Kings was 7-2 yesterday. I can't figure it out at all. But against this field, even with an outside post, but you have a couple scratches. It's post 5 now. It's a little bit different. I do want to show the Solo Empire Brown Don't Stop race, and I think Brown Don't Stop will run better 2 turns. But
He's shown that he's much better at 2 turns, I think.
don't you think? Okay, then don't show it. Don't worry about it, Eddie. I worry about Solo Empire a little bit with the scratch of the 1. I changed my picks around a little bit here because he could be the speed, but I also think it helps my pick, the number 3 Golden Purchase, because Golden Purchase can be forward and I think should be stalking Solo Empire. Thought Rudy was a little ambitious. That field turned out to be tougher than it was. Tomicon did come back to win. 6 Kings came out of that race and won. I thought he'd be in a
75,
good spot
74.
sitting forward. He does have some back form that's good enough to give him a chance, and I thought maybe he just fit in this spot, so I'm going to take a shot with him. I don't like D-Day Sky.
This
with
is
David as
not
a
an
second
Andy
choice.
pick, though. 1 for 47.
I know.
And
I
don't
love
we
that.
always talk about when these high, not that Rudy's high percentage at the moment, but, Rudy's.
Claiming away from Eduardo Jones. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely thought of that, and the horse is 147. But I look at the last race. The winner came back and ran well. The second horse improved 12 points. The third horse improved 8 points. There's a possibility that race is just better than it is. I know he's 1 for 47. I totally agree. But he's also going to be at least a fair enough price. Now, obviously, with the scratches, he's going to be lower. I know he's 1 for 47. And it's probably a mistake for me to be taking him. But I thought he was going to get a good trip in this race. And maybe with Rudy, after one start in a tougher spot, he could run better. But I agree. And it is what Maggie's alluding to is there's this notion that these trainers that win at low percentages, why don't people claim from them? Well, the truth is, most time you claim from them, and they just don't really hold their form.
Right.
Even if they're running well for the other trainer.
Yeah, no, it's
very
something.
tricky.
Yeah, something I learned from my dad. Having
Really?
mainly a claiming stable. Yeah,
It's a
just
weird thing.
Doesn't work as well as
Got to
you
find
think it
people you
would.
can claim from,
Yeah.
and it's important to do that. And I don't disagree, but
Yeah.
I thought, obviously a little bit less of a price with the scratches. Race number 7. Race number 7. I want to show Jake Rocks to start. I'm going to go back to his last race. Jake Rocks is going to have to learn, Maggie, to get out of the gate because it's becoming a bit of an issue for him. And
It was a rough start here.
I just think he was badly compromised in here. It's happened before, and you could argue he ran well enough. I think the similar thing happened 2 back in the February 2nd race. The problem I have with him is, isn't this a much tougher 15 than he's been in?
Yes, it does feel like there's some horses in here that have better back form than him, or they're just dropping. So I do agree with you. I would use him protectively because at the end of the day, Jake Rocks, though he doesn't always win, he's fairly consistent in holding his form.
I agree with that. I agree. He's run well.
And he ran well in the context, considering the start that he had last time.
I'm not wildly against him. I just like another horse in this race. But why don't we go from this replay and show the replay of your pick, Blake B. I just worry that was such a soft field last time.
It was
Maggie.
a soft field, but it was such a. I looked at some other numbers too. It was a fast race.
It
And
was.
visually, it was a fast race too. Looking at it, and I think we've seen this trainer Robert Johnston come in here with some of his claims and do very well, and he's running him back on relatively short rest. So therefore, kind of, as we like to say, striking while the iron's hot. I can get not trusting him, but it's not like this horse hasn't run races like this in the past.
I know. I agree. He's a funny horse. I didn't like him in here. Johnson has good numbers off the claim with routers, but his numbers with sprinters are not as good. He's 4 for 23 off the claim in sprinters, $1.34 ROI, 0 for 1 at Naira. He was second though. I think it's 6-1. He's been a tough trainer for me to read, and he's had some interesting winners so far. This is as we see, 0 for 1 with claims in New York. I decided against him. I went in a different direction. I like Mr. JT in this race, who, in my opinion, was way against the track last time, chasing outside.
Yeah.
The time before that, he chased outside against the Super Gold Rail on December 27th. He's never really had a chance for Bruce.
Yeah.
Now Bruce is dropping him, and I don't think his form is as bad as it might look on paper
You're
because
right.
he's been against the track both times. So I like his chances here. Obviously, the wet track, he's handled him in the past. Do you worry at all about excellent timing maybe wiring the field in here? It's interesting that they put blinkers on
First
for the
time
first
ever.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
Broke slow last time, lost all chance to start. I don't trust this horse at all, but I'm a little worried that he's going to get loose in the front end here.
Yes. I mean, there is a world that can happen, but he's just been not good. He's just been terrible since that June to September layoff.
I know.
I,
He's been terrible for a long time. I agree.
Yeah.
He may not be able to run. It may not matter. What about Charging Arrow off the claim? Ilke Kandermachi has been, the horse has really been running off the claim. for him.
Really been
Look
running.
at how well
I
Charlie's ex-horse
agree.
ran in the second race yesterday.
Yeah.
That horse ran a very fast race. They split the variant. They obviously split the variant. Something changed because that race, while faster than the Carter, that's a little bit tough
Yeah,
to
to
take because the
take,
Carter's a good
right.
race. They gave it a 96 buyer, though.
yeah. I mean, it was fast. Charging Arrow. I didn't love that last race, but it's not.
I didn't either. I
'cause he
strictly that Ilke's got horses running well off claims,
Right.
and that's why I think this horse is very dangerous in here.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Race number 8, which is a bring back from last week, but with the addition of tracking error in the race. But we'll start with Uncle Jim, who had the big win. I don't know about you. We seem to feel the same way. I'm against him. I thought this horse rode a big bias.
He rode a big bias. He ran a fast race, though.
He did.
But now I just think he's better sprinting. Now we're stretching him back out again,
That's fair.
and he might be the fastest in here, but it's not like
He's the
I mean,
speed.
what about Uncaged? They're putting blinkers on him and stretching him out. Who's to say he's not going to be right there with him?
Well-
And look, I picked Uncaged just because
We'll
I
get
thought
to
he
him.
would have
He's the
an
third
easier
replay. We'll get to him.
time of it. But yeah, I just don't trust him against what is now a tougher field. Much
I
tougher
agree. I think a much tougher field. Now, Tracking Error, who's the 2-1 favorite.
I left him out. I'm not
I
sure
put
this
him
horse is a
third.
one-turn horse. Doesn't he feel like
He also got a
prefers
gold
two
rail
turns?
last time to
Well,
run on. I'm just not
exactly.
sure how good he really is. I mean,
Exactly.
maybe he's improving, and obviously, I'm hoping he runs well for Seth, but I just don't have any. I mean, I thought his effort was okay on January 21st. I'll tell you something else about him. He's done a little running on the rail in a couple of his races. He may be happiest on the rail, and good luck to getting there here. I hope he runs well. I think he's dressed up, and he's going to be a short price, and I think he's dressed up by a bias.
I totally think he's dressed up by a bias, and I don't think he's necessarily going to find the dynamics to his liking here going this one turn.
I agree. He's not going to be forward in the same way he was last time. Now we'll talk about Uncaged Your Horse. Now, obviously, a wet track makes this horse even more dangerous because he ran so well in it at Saratoga. But, Maggie, his return race was atrocious.
Okay, so the winner of that race did come back and win the Hutchison, running a 90
Yep.
Rolando. And I didn't necessarily like him that much in his debut because he
Good
seemed
call.
well, just for the fact that he seemed a bit unfocused.
Sure, I didn't like him either.
I can't remember who I actually picked that day. I don't know. It may
might
have
took
been
a
the
horse
second
who was
horse.
last, but-
Yeah, probably.
Thank
He
you for
just
that.
seemed unfocused, and he ran like an unfocused horse last time. He was slow. He was climbing the kickback. He just seemed like he was all over the racetrack. So I really like them putting the blinkers on for him, and obviously there is some ability.
No, I got
There.
him second. I didn't move him up because it rained. The other thing is, I don't like the 2. I don't trust the 6. So that sort of shrinks the field down
Right.
for me. I'm still holding out hope, Ray, that Georgia Magic can make the Kentucky Derby, but maybe the Oklahoma Derby or something. I'm interested in why you like On the Mount.
He looks slow. I know. I don't know. It may have been a really bad race.
I thought you were the one that thought that speed was kind of good, and that's why the horse held together. I hope he runs well for Chad, but I never comment. I like Toga de Oro, and he must be something if Rick Dutro's leaving him in a wet track. Thanks, Rick. And you saw I picked him. Maybe if you'd seen him, I picked him, and it rained. You had to scratch him. I'll tell you.
I don't mind this horse at all.
Yeah.
I have him fourth. I probably could have had him second as well.
I thought he really accelerated last time. Second horse didn't win,
Yep.
but he came back and ran 5
He
player
really
points
hit
higher.
his best strides late. You can see
yeah.
him.
I thought he was okay, this horse.
Right. Gypsy Dreaming ran well behind.
He's another horse comes out of the
1-900.
colloquial race, by the way.
I mean, Storm and Sammy, he came back with a slower race
Yes.
in winning, but yeah. No, Tocadoro, I do think that he'll get better with racing and he'll find this distance to his liking.
I'm hoping he does. This is a good race, actually.
It's
I
a
like
fun
this race.
race.
Looking forward to
Yeah.
this one. And I'm looking forward to the Haynesfield. And I am not trying to beat Bank Frenzy. And we're
Me
going to take a
neither.
look at him. And his chances certainly didn't get hurt
He's just
by
so
some rain.
consistent.
I mean, maybe I'll bury him by finally picking him. But this horse has been in raging form. I mean, you give
he's
Rudy
held
credit.
it.
Rudy has done a sensational job with this horse.
I agree. Be open
Sensational.
company here in this stymie. He was coming off a little bit of a freshening, got right back to where he left off. You love to see that. And he really isn't a horse that's ever necessarily hurt by dynamics or anything like that.
No, it
He
doesn't
just-
seem to matter.
Right.
Just doesn't matter.
He's a good horse.
No, I agree. He shows up. I am going to tease Randy, his owner, a little bit because, first of all, I'm going to tease him about Rebels Romance, who he wanted to tell me on Twitter was the greatest Godolphin turf horse of all time. Yeah, right. And tried to list some of them. Randy, I
like
told
him,
Randy,
but-
I like Randy a lot, but I think he needs a history lesson. I told him he needed a history
Yeah.
lesson in racing. And he did tell Horacio Deposita the other day, we were talking to him about Farbridge, and he said, "I just hope some competition for him shows up." And Duracio said, and I kind of looked at him and tried to say, I've never heard an owner say that I hope I get some tougher competition for my horse to run against. Be careful what you wish for, Randy.
I mean, keep yourself in the best of company and your horses in the worst.
As you know, I love Farbridge. She's one of my favorite horses.
Yeah, I mean, you had an unbelievable score with him in Saratoga past year.
I agree. I think we need that division to get tougher because that division has been hurting. And I don't know what 3-year-olds are going to come out of last year that are going to make that division tougher because it wasn't a particularly good year for the 3-year-old turf horses. So I don't know. And I love Farbridge, but I do like to tease Randy a little bit, all in good humor because I also happen to like him quite a bit. General Banker. I do think General Banker is dangerous in this race. And I got to say something else. Jimmy Ferraro, I mean, this horse, he is like a Swiss watch, right? He just shows up and runs well pretty much every time he shows up in the racetrack. He's a very cool horse.
Except when I pick him.
Well, but it's probably personal. But he doesn't win all the time because he's in tough spots. But
no,
he's good.
I agree. Absolutely.
He had a good trip in here.
He did have a good trip. I thought it was a very good ride by Luis Rivera. He sensed the slow pace. There was the leader left an opening on the rail, and he took control, and he ran very well. So I don't have a problem with him at all.
No.
I have him second.
Yeah, I know. I agree. And I tell you, like Radio Red's last race, I really am very interested in seeing what he does because this was an exceptional performance by him. He exploded down the stretch.
And I mean, look, his race 2 back behind Gracie Mason was very good.
It was very good, and I'm not convinced, but I'm a little for me.
I think he's a closing sprinter, though.
I wonder that a little too. I totally wonder if a mile is going to mitigate his closing kick.
Yeah.
But he is in good form, and that's why I put him second. I didn't want to disregard him in here. I thought Sheriff Bianco, who's a cool horse, was opportunistic last time. What about Winstock? He's a funny horse, right?
Isn't he? I remember this horse selling. It was Solomini's first crop.
Oh, my God, 700,000, 2 years.
Yeah. And I think
who
Tom
owned him?
called me.
It's not the same. Is it same owner?
I can't remember.
They finally sent him to New York.
I mentally told myself to look it up, and then I forgot to do it. And
he beat Stronghold.
Yeah.
He beat Stronghold. Not a bad horse, Stronghold.
It felt like there was a time where he got good, and then when Bob goes to the turf, he doesn't know what to do with the horse.
Keisha checking in with accurate information here. Same owner.
Same owner. That's what I thought. Okay.
That's what my friend Steve said as well. I forgot to look it up.
Yeah, and I remember everybody being like, "Oh, great! Bob bought a 700,000 New York bred to go to California."
Well, listen, he doesn't have conditions. This horse, he can run a $9 a 3, but it'll be tough. And he's a New York bred because he won his conditions outside of New York bred races. Maybe Linda's just looked at his spot and thought, I can run him in here. I need to get a race into him.
Yeah.
Let me see if he can stack up against these kind of horses. If
Sure.
not, I have to take a
He's
different
really
tack with him.
interesting, though.
I think he's a little interesting.
Yeah.
And I looked at him for a long time. This is a tough spot for him, though. But I thought he was a little bit interesting.
Yeah, you definitely have the best New York breds, I think.
My friend Steve says that Linda told Dave Grenning at DRF that he needed a race. Or he needed to get a race. And,
All right.
be careful. If you like them, bet them. Don't worry about that. Now we come up on the 10th, and this is the race that both Maggie and I have been waiting really since they drew it on Wednesday for.
Okay.
We'll take a look at Into Stardom, who's going to be the favorite, and Maggie's copping out with the favorite at the end of the day.
I am copping
I
out
don't
with
blame
the
you.
favorite.
I'm not keeping you up, am I?
No, sorry, I'm just taking
Don't
a
be
note
sorry.
a page out of your book.
I know, right? Exactly. When you apologize to me, I yawn away at every. It's not. I don't know. I'm a yawner.
I am like exceedingly tired today. At the end of yesterday.
Well, maybe be
So,
on the air for 5 hours. That's something to do in the freezing cold.
It was 7 o'clock.
Nobody
on
looked
a
colder than
day.
Rick Dutrow. Poor Rick, when you were Acacia, I think Acacia was interviewing him, and I was thinking, oh my God, Rick. I was saying to text Acacia, say, give him a hug. He looks like he's freezing out there.
It wasn't pleasant out there.
Yeah. I went out for about 2 minutes with Naj.
Yeah,
and
and
we
you were
both
like,
looked at each
right
other
back
and
in.
walked back in. I don't know, it was 2 seconds maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, totally copping it out. Not. There's no shame in my game.
She's the
here.
worst to beat. I just took
Look,
the Lady Gunner on the drop
She
down
was
for Mark.
She was probably more with the track than the favorite who got up and won.
Yeah, but it was a weird race that fell apart, and she was
Right.
close to the pace, and the race fell
Right.
apart. So I think that mitigates a little bit.
And
the,
she looks like she's the speed in here too.
she's way the horse.
and this condition is like a little bit tricky. Sometimes you don't just
Yeah.
because it's the optional 45.
Well, this horse has a little pedigree. The horse in the rail, actually.
Absolutely.
That horse has a little pedigree.
Yep, I included. And Outwork seems to strike a lot of times with his first-time starters, 16% with his 3-year-olds and upward. The 3/4 actually won
Mo
their
Diddley.
first. Mo Diddley. Yeah.
3/4. I even wrote down 3/4. Aren't you proud of me?
I'm
I
so
noticed
proud of you.
because
Well done.
because his Uncle
'cause
Mo.
Yeah. Uncle
Lady
Mo.
Gunner's dropping down and was in an
And
impossible spot last
eliminated
time.
last
Lost
time.
all chance at the start.
Yeah.
So I want to give her one more chance. But like you, I think the 3 is much the horse to beat. But I'll take Mark's horse as the alternative. So what do you think of? I'm going to tell you something. I think Rodriguez is very dangerous because I imagine Bob's going to send him. But I think one of the things that's interesting for the Derby is East Avenue. Because if he should
Is
win
he-
the
yeah.
Bluegrass, he's going to be a speed in the
Yeah.
Derby. So I think he's a very interesting horse how he does for how the pace develops. Because right now the pace is a little bit murky because a lot of horses didn't qualify. There is American Promise, the Wayne Lucas horse is going to go. But I think East
Right.
Avenue is potentially holds the key to the pace of the Derby depending on what he does. Now, I'm not his biggest fan, but
It
I don't
was
know what to
funny
think of him.
checking in with the Brendan Walsh camp after the disappointing performance in the Risen Star. Wait.
yeah, Risen Star.
Yeah,
it was
Risen Star.
horrendous.
They felt as though they were kind of mollycoddling him a little bit and felt like they needed to, tighten the screws and
Right.
make it tough on him. And I do agree with you. It feels like when he's behind horses, he just kind of messes
He
around.
needs to be in
and-
front.
yeah.
Whatever he is, he needs to be in front.
Agreed.
And, I mean, it's hard because that Breeders' Futurity is turning out to be kind of a lousy race.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean he isn't talented, and I think he needs to at least have a chance once more on the front end.
And I think the one thing that we can absolutely confirm as of yesterday is journalism is the Derby favorite.
Oh,
100%.
100%. And he
And
should be. And he's good. And
he's
Baeza was good, too.
He is, isn't
And
he? Yeah.
He'll probably get in because they got 3/4 points yesterday.
Isn't that insane?
I don't
Dan
like it.
has produced
Oh, yeah.
a
He's a half to
horse.
mage.
Yeah.
And
And
who-
Dornick.
Dornick, right. Amazing. You know,
Amazing.
I don't like that rule on the small fields. I understand it, but to me, it's punishing California because it's the only place that's going to comp with small fields, let's be honest. And they have a rough situation in California. So now they're going to make it a rule to make it harder for horses in California to get in the Derby. Come on.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
I get it, but I thought that was pretty unfair. I'll tell you something, and I take nothing away from Rodriguez, who I think is a good horse when he's allowed to do what he does.
Right.
And it'll depend on what the pace looks like. I was very impressed with Grande's performance in yesterday's
too.
Wood.
That's who
I
I
thought he ran
want.
really well in
And
that race.
I think he's a horse that really will appreciate the classic distances.
Oh God, he'll have no problem.
100%,
with it. No.
yeah.
He just kept on running.
Kept
he's
on.
never, and he really had the wrong trip. In
He's
every
way
way, yeah. And he also made that move in the second quarter.
right.
When they slowed the second quarter down, he sort of rushed into it, which plays so much in the hands. And I was very disappointed in Captain Cook. He was bad.
No, He was bad.
He was really disappointing.
I agree. I agree. I liked him
better
too
than that,
going
but
into
he was
that
bad.
race, and he did not fire at all.
Yeah. All right.
So.
It was fun as it always is. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match them with $200 of your initial deposit. We have the $15 bonus. Opt in for this. Oaklawn, Keeneland, and Aqueduct. Cross country pick 5. We've got 3 at Oaklawn, 2 at Aqueduct, and all those races will be on America's Day at the Races from 1 o'clock until 4 in the morning on FS2. Have fun. And we're going to miss the girls' finals. UConn back in the women's finals.
Yeah, I have not been following.
I have not been following as much as I should, and I do like
I
women's.
sometimes watch highlights of that.
I've watched a
mostly
lot of
good.
women's basketball in my day, and of course, if you're a Duke fan, you're still crying. If you're Nick Tamaro and from Houston, you're not.
Not.
Thanks for watching. Chris Griffin's got a 10-race card ahead of him. No rest for the weary, Chris. Have a good day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.